The preceding program is copyrighted by Grand Valley State University. Visit us at gvsu.edu.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm talking directly to you. I just, want to get your attention. Very good. Well, thank you all for joining us today on this sunny Wednesday. The weather gets better and better out there every day, it seems. I'm Brian Flanagan, Associate Director of the Howenstein Center, and I'd like to welcome you to our 8th and final leadership luncheon of the academic year. It's only fitting that we prepared for this meeting, after which 15 of you will graduate from the Howenstein Center, by reading biographies of Peter Cook and Ralph Howenstein. I don't know if Ralph knows that everyone read his biography, now he's going to be self-conscious about it. But the reason that's fitting is you are all now Howensteiners for life. After today, you will be forever associated with those two great individuals, Ralph Howenstein and Peter Cook. And by now you know what that means. It means you are dedicated to becoming a leader and a community builder. You will be effective and ethical in the workplace as you are in all spheres of your life. You will work for peace, cooperation, civility. You will be servants. You will be generous. You will be tough-minded, willful, and persistent in your pursuits. And as will be noted today, it also means that you will continue to develop yourselves and absorb the guidance and insights of your experienced colleagues. As you move forward, and I think our guest speaker will talk about this as well today, as you move forward, you will value the people around you and take an interest in their development as professionals and as human beings. This is what it means to be Howensteiners, and we hope you take those values with you when you leave Grand Valley. Now, before we get to the program, I'd like to offer a few housekeeping items, and then I'll turn the podium over to Howenstein Center Director Gleaves Whitney to introduce our guest speaker. But just a few things first. This summer, we've got something new going on. We're going to be doing a meet and greet in about mid-June. All of you will be invited. But it's going to be a meet and greet for a new class of leadership fellows. We have 18 slots we're filling. We have 40 applicants who are in the process of interviewing right now. So it's going to be a great group. 40 applicants, most of them faculty nominated. So we'll have an opportunity this summer to all get together for that. I also would like to announce we're going to be adding a new fold to the program next year that our advisory cabinet helped us with. And that's that we're going to have class officers. We're going to be looking to have a president of the Leadership Academy from your group, a vice president, and then officers representing grad students, first and second years, and third and fourth years. So this summer, another thing you're going to be getting is a ballot, and you're going to select from among yourselves who will serve in those positions, and we'll also tell you what that entails before you have to sign up for it. A third thing of 4 that I want to tell you about is we're going to be doing evaluations, and John Wardrop helped us understand the importance of this. He doesn't like being pointed at. But we want to have you guys give us your evaluations for how this program year went, how the luncheons went, but more importantly, those of you who are engaged in mentorships, the topic of today, we want to hear how that's gone for you. And finally, I just want to let you know that all of next year's speakers are now on the website, and you should definitely go in, read about our speakers, get excited, get enthusiastic, and we'll look forward to having you back. Now, without further delay, I'll turn it over to Gleaves, and we'll hear about our speaker. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. I would just like to make a little addendum, actually, to what he said, because not only is next year's slate totally filled with speakers, but we're already into the following year. There is that kind of demand to present in this forum some of the leadership opportunities and to share the mentoring opportunities that people have at the Howenstein Center Leadership Academy.
And Mary Daly Brown, one of your colleagues, is going to be one of the speakers. So you'll have to be there for that one.
That's right. Okay, well, I am just delighted that we have a very special guest with us today. The Lax family, as you know, has been a prominent family in this community, raising the quality of life in West Michigan and also the quality of a a Grand Valley education through all the contributions, many of them very quiet and behind the scenes. You don't know all of the areas in which the Lax family has been involved, but it's considerable and it's impressive. KV Lax, our speaker today, is currently the a program manager for the Nissan account at Lax Enterprises, a local privately owned automotive manufacturing firm. And in addition to his service to the Hallenstein Center, where he's on the cabinet here, he's been active in the Grand Rapids community doing a number of things. He's on the board of St. Mary's Doran Foundation and Goodwill Industries. And I heard in a conversation before we got started that we've been talking about mentors, today. Well, one of the mentorships that is right here at this table is between KV and John Wardrop. John Wardrop has acted as a mentor to KV. And, of course, John, what you see John doing there is motioning the other way. And John is also acknowledging that KV has been a person who's been able to mentor him. Now, KV, I'm going to go ahead and say it, KV's 26 years old. And it's remarkable that somebody his age has the awareness of community and contributions and really the noblesse oblige. He has taken all of the great fortune of his family, the goodwill in his family, and he has parlayed it into wonderful things already at his age. And this is why he is serving on so many boards. But I think that relationship among mentors that you see is also what we're trying to carry forward so that you can approach a KV or John, you students, and have that same kind of relationship and get the benefit of all those years of experience and insight and youth. Also, off script, I just want to say that at the first luncheon that I was able to share with KV, I was so impressed with his vision, his knowledge of leadership already. I think you were probably 24, 25 years old when we had that lunch, and I was terribly impressed by all the insights you already had at that point into effective and virtuous leadership. And I knew, and in fact I said, the first time we met, I said, KV, will you please present to us? And you agreed, and we had to reschedule you. And that's the second point. We rescheduled because the reason we rescheduled for this time is we had to wait for Ralph to get back from Florida. And that's why KV's, So with that, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome KV Lax.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you, Gleaves. That was very nice of you. I also want to thank, first of all, Gleaves and actually Bill, because they were the two that got me involved here. And then Ralph, thank you for allowing me to be a part of a wonderful, wonderful program, and with people that are much more intelligent than me. They may have more experience than me, they just don't know it. I also want to thank just a couple guests I did bring today from Lax, a couple really role models at the company. My past two bosses are here. They actually said they'd be in the back picking on me, but we'll see if they vouch to that. And so thank you guys for showing up. And then also Mike in the back, good thing you put him in the back because he's actually going to raise his hand when I'm going too long. So thank you. He's not asking a premature question. Just to get things started here, I guess a lot of you are probably looking at me right now saying, who invited the 12-year-old to stand at the podium? So thank you for telling him I was 26. You got that out of the way. This all started again with our lunch meeting a couple years ago. I got a phone call from Bill asking if I wanted to have lunch with him and Gleaves. And originally I thought, well, this is great, but they got the wrong guy. They're trying to get a hold of my dad. And another quick story why I thought that was I had a meeting with Mayor Bartman in East Grand Rapids just before that. And when she met, I kind of sat down in her office and she looked at me and smiled and thought, who are you? I said, I'm Kurt Lax. She goes, I got the wrong guy. I'm like, well, no, that's me. Well, she thought I was my dad. So long story short, I thought I was going under the same circumstances, and I thought, well, I'll get a free lunch out of it and just go from there. I did find out they were searching for me, and I'm very thankful that I was found, and I'm excited. So today I'm just going to kind of explain a little bit about myself, about the family company, and then really my mentor, my role model, and how it's changed my lifestyle and my strategies over the past, I want to say, 10 years, really. A little bit about the company. Many of you may know it. We've been around for 49 years. We're going on 50 years next year, which is phenomenal. I mean, that is very hard to say, very hard to do, especially in this economy. I am the fourth generation in the company, which again, is phenomenal. Me and my cousin are actually the fourth generation, so there's two of us kind of growing up together, same age. We went to school together and moving up together. So we do plastic plated parts. Just a real quick description. We do plastic plated parts. We have 3 divisions. We have a wheel division, a trim division, and plastic plate. We are looking to diversify. I know a lot of you say automotive industry, you should be running fourth generation, you're not going to make it to fifth, but we do diversify. And on that note, quick blurb on business. Last year the economy was down, but as you'll notice in my speech today, I'm kind of explaining a culture that my grandfather has created, and really, relating the business aspect to my grandfather's strategies is we really made it through a downturn last year because of the models that my grandfather and great-grandfather put forward 48 years ago. We created a culture and a family within the business and a family within the community. And again, I'm just kind of prepping you a little bit for my speech, so this is kind of where it ties into the business side of it. So why am I here? Again, I had lunch with Gleaves and Bill, and they kind of just sat down, and it's the first time I think we really had met. Sat down and just kind of said, I think Gleaves just gave your Gleaves. Tell me about yourself. I'm like, okay, I kind of do that. And I love to tell people about myself. It's one of my hobbies, I guess. So I kind of talked about myself, and then he cornered me right away. I mean, he said, well, describe what a leader is to you. I thought, great, here we go. I'm gonna blow this one up. But anyways, I kind of explained, my answer to what leadership is to me. And then he said, okay, fine, explain what leadership is in one word. And it's one of those things that just pops in your head right away. And I said, Grandpa Dick. I mean, it was just like, Grandpa Dick, that's leadership. And I guess to tell a little bit about my grandfather, he was, he died 10 years ago. And his 3 philosophies really were family first, company second, and community third. And it was strong in every area. It wasn't, okay, my family's good, I'll move to the company, and then that's good, and I'll move to the community. All 3 of those were very integral in his life. And he was not a person that wanted any credit for it. He just wanted those people that were touched to know that he was involved, and he would continue to help. I want to start out, I guess, going on each one of those. And with family, just to tell a little bit, he brought my family together. He's that quintessential father figure where I know cousins that people usually don't know. You got to dig through the family tree to figure out who they are. Every Christmas, every Easter, he was the head figure to bring everybody together in one giant room and make everyone feel part of a family. I mean, I'm close with my 4 cousins, which people don't know they're 4 cousins. So it was key to bring us all together. Family fights, there's no such thing. You hear about different families that, well, the sister and the brother don't get along. See, you 2 get along very nice, that's good. But brothers and sisters don't get along, and that wouldn't happen in our family, period. There'd be a way to figure that out. So he really grew us as a family together, which again will in turn kind of help what I described with the company. Next is his company philosophies, which created, again, a culture that is to this day still living. He created the company on his family philosophies and his family values. I know Jim Green, who's here with me today, has been here for 25 years. He's not the only one. There are many, many people in this organization that they all have stories from 27 years ago. I was in HR a year ago, and I had a guy who's been there for 40 years. He's got more seniority than my father. So the company is a place where people feel like they're involved in a family. And again, I know this is kind of, my description today is on leadership. Well, this is where his leadership came into play. I think to be a leader, you have to have people believing in you. You have to have the family values. And they got to trust you, love you. I mean, so on and so on. And with this culture that he created, it helped us grow and continue to grow. I'm trying to think, there's stories, I guess I won't get on a tangent, but one more quick example of him at the organization is you can go up to almost anyone in the company and they've got a story about my grandfather. And there's stories from, you've got a guy who worked maintenance or was an hourly operator who really had trust in him. And my point to hit home here is his leadership is why the company is the way it is. And I'll slowly start to get away from that, but I just wanted to dive in a little bit on family, company, and now community. I don't know if we were actually talking about at lunch. I don't know if any of you have been over to the Lax Technology Center, I believe is the name of it. Yeah, which is right
Right across.
across. I took a summer class here, accounting. It was wonderful. A couple years ago, and I was actually walking through the hallways, and I had no idea we had given. I had no idea my grandfather was involved, so on and so forth. Well, I was walking down the hall, and there was a portrait of him. I mean, it hit home with me right there. I mean, it was. I'm not an emotional guy. It was an emotional moment, and it really just kind of solidified everything I'm going to describe today. Where there's a couple articles, and I know one of them explains how Grand Valley said he was the silent giver. And that was another thing where in this community, my grandfather's name it's not really seen, but it's known. I know a lot of you say, well, there's the Lax Cancer Center. Well, my grandfather's rolling in his grave right now that we put his name on a building. So, but to me, that's really hit home with me. And I'll get into that after I explain my turning point. But he gave to this community because he loved this community. This community created success for my family. It created success for an amazing company. And again, that is part of leadership. If you had, I think what article it was, it might have been Peter Cook's, where it said something on, I don't remember the exact quote, so I'm gonna plotch it. But you guys should have done your reading anyways. So. And one of his other beliefs, real quick, and I'll wrap up these 3 points. But his other belief is he really believed in Grand Valley. And again, this isn't leadership or not, but I just want you guys to know, as students, he believed in this school. Before he passed away, because again, I remember all of his life lessons. He sat us down and said, "Grand Valley is your school." And okay, I'm 8 years old, but fine. And that actually hit home with me. And a lot of people may not know me. I think I've talked to Mary Beth about this, but I haven't got my master's yet, and you can bet I will be at Grand Valley for my master's. So again, that's just kind of the life lessons that I've taken into heart, and I've taken his leadership traits and the things he's given me and said, okay, I'm going to run with those. So to kind of break into where I've become who I am now, like I said, the death of my grandfather was 10 years ago, and that was really a turning point for me. I was young. I mean, at 16 years old, I can't say I was mature. I don't think I'm mature now, but you can't really find, what you're going to do with life and where you're going to go with life. And that was really, like I said, my turning point. It was a decision time. I stepped back, and I knew that I couldn't define leadership. Back to Glee's point, if he were to sit down with me 10 years ago and say, "What's leadership?" Well, I haven't read that book yet, so I can't tell you that. That I could not define leadership, and that was at the point where I said, "Okay, I don't have my grandfather to walk me down this aisle anymore to teach me what a leader is." And I had decisions to make. I could have given up. I could have ridden the coattails of the family name, or I could have taken the route of deciding to take everything he had given me and create more success, create a better community as he did. So that was kind of the time I was, how do I emulate grandfather? And I had time to think about that because I was young. So what I did is, it's kind of hard. I'll break off a little bit side note here. It's kind of hard with, a lot of you may say, well, okay, Kurt, it's easy for you. You come from a family name and you're anyone's going to take you in. Yeah, you're right. However, it is very, very difficult being a Lax in many aspects because you really feel, and we were talking about this on lunch today, you really feel pressured. I mean, to be successful. I mean, when people look at you and say, well, there's that Lax kid. Well, you can't be a screw-off. I mean, you just can't. And then you feel that pressure. You have a company and a grandfather who created something that's so wonderful, and now I have that pressure. Well, part of the turning point for me is that's when I said, okay, I want to be more, and I was telling Glees this, I want to be more than a name on a building. All right, I want to be the guy that's walking down the street that knows me not for my last name because of the Lax Cancer Center or my grandfather or the company, but the Lax that worked so hard that's where I am today. Not Lax Industries KV Lax, but hard worker KV Lax. So that's, again, this is my turning point. I think you guys are following me, I hope. My turning point onto where I went with what I'm about to explain, but I really put together the same priorities at that point. I said, okay, family first. My family and I are very close-knit. Glees and I were talking about lunch. I love them to death, every single one of them, even the fourth cousin. Next is company, and I'll explain. I'll explain all three of these without not much of the family, but the company. This company means the world to me. Absolutely means the world to me. And I would hope that any employee that you run into thinks and knows that, at least at some point. And then community, and I'll explain again what I'm doing in the community that I think is hopefully getting in somewhere. One quote that I know my grandfather did tell me, and it's an easy one to remember at my age because it's simple, is never take anything for granted. I was given a lot as a young child. I really was. I'm very fortunate. But I did not take that for granted. At least I hope I'm not taking that for granted. And that's going to be key for my success in the future and for the image of me as a leader. One quick thing, I guess, on my turning point again with, okay, so I'm 16 years old. I'm trying to decide how to be a leader. Well, I got to go to college, right? College, I want to have fun. I do have fun. So I'm sitting here going, well, how do I mix fun with education and success? I wanted to do a top 10 business school. I was very driven. High school, I had decent grades, but I didn't have that mentality of, okay, I want to go to an amazing school, so I better start working hard. I went to Indiana University, which is at the time, I think it is still, top 10 business school. And this is just kind of explain how I pushed myself. This was that like I said, that turning point where that leadership was trying to come out of me. And I double majored, which was a stretch for me. I actually tell my dad I tried to double major to buy another year in college, but that didn't seem to work. So there's just more pressure to finish fast. But you guys, a quick blurb for you guys is you have an amazing opportunity to be involved in the Howenstein Center. I wish I had that opportunity. I didn't know about it until I talked with Cleves, and I'm very happy I did because I had to push myself. I'm not saying that you're a stronger person to push yourself, but I wish I had a center and a leadership program to help me and guide me on the right path, and speakers that could give me their tips and their blurbs. So I just want to let you guys know thank you for everyone here. Now I'll quickly jump into myself and how I got involved and hopefully give you guys a couple tips, I guess. How did I emulate my grandfather for company involvement? Well, actually, right when I graduated, I jumped into purchasing. I was a purchasing agent for 2 years. And I majored in operations and management, so this wasn't even really anything I completely concentrated on. And this helped me get a little idea of how to deal with suppliers, how to negotiate, how to deal with customers. Again, just a different atmosphere for me to help me grow stronger as a person and, again, as a leader. Next, I went into human resources. This was last year. So I learned a lot. And Jim's back there giggling too. He was my boss during that time, but that helped me immensely realize what our culture is. And again, I keep telling you, when my grandfather comes out, my grandfather came out again. To be able to go through the downturn we went through and treat our employees the way we treated our employees, again, this comes out from the leadership of the family, the leadership that was set in stone from day one. And we did our first layoffs that we've ever done in the history of LAX, and it was very, very minimal. We did buyouts, voluntary buyouts, because again, it's all about treating your employees right. And to me, that really, again, solidified the fact of, okay, this man really was who, again, the guy who's telling me the stories on the floor, who he really was. So now I've fortunately gotten out of human resources, and I'm into program management, which is in an engineering department. And engineering's tough. I mean, I don't know if anyone's an engineer here, and it's tough for me because it's not necessarily my personality. I was just joking with Glee, as unfortunately, he's not here. I love my boss to death, but he's a micromanager. And again, why I'm explaining this is because to be a leader, you really need to go down these different paths. When I graduated, I was really told from someone in the company that I need to go straight into sales, and I said, absolutely not. How do I get out of this? And my dad actually said, well, we can buy you 5 years, and I got 5 years, so it's okay, let's figure out what I can do in 5 years to round myself, to become a leader, not just a sales guy. And this micromanager now is teaching me a ton. I mean, as much as I can't stand micromanaging, I'm learning what I don't want to do, and I'm learning how to deal with it. And I think that, again, leadership is being able to, you have to put yourself in situations that you don't want to be in, you have to learn from them, and you have to, you will learn from them, trust me. I'm learning a ton, and I can't wait till my 1.5 years almost done. But let's see here. again, like I said, be the best you can be, and with all the opportunities. Again, I'm fortunate. I've gotten a lot of opportunities, but my blurb to you again is: when you have an opportunity, don't pass on it. Absolutely take it and learn from it, because you truly will. And again, going back to the Lax name, this in the company, I think doing a couple of these roles, I've created a name for myself. It's not the Lax kid. It's not Kurt's kid. It's not the company's kid. That was my human resource manager. We miss him. We love him. There's a guy who negotiated or screwed up a PO. I've created, and I'm still trying to create a name in the organization. And to me, that's going to be part of, someday I am going to be, owning this company, and I want to be viewed as a leader. And you have to do the steps early, because you can't just get thrown into the mix. Next is community involvement, and this is something, I guess, now looking back, and I do take a lot of pride in it. I've gotten involved probably more than I should with a lot in the community, and I absolutely love it. It's before I jump into everything I'm involved in, one thing I want to teach you guys that I haven't taught myself yet is be able to have the courage to say no. All right, it's great to get involved in a million things, but you cannot put the pride and the work into everything. Okay, and I have a really hard time doing that, so I can't teach you any more than that. Is just try and learn, because once you find out, help me find out, because I'm still lost on that. But anyways, Gleaves had mentioned John as my mentor, and truly when it comes to community involvement, obviously my grandfather was gone, and I had to live by what I've heard and what I know that as a person I can do to be involved in the community. Well, I fortunately got a phone call. It was right after I graduated from Goodwill Industries. And they said, hey, we've got this Young Leaders Board. We'd love it if you got involved. Sweet, love it. Lax is involved with Goodwill, and it's a great organization, so throw me in the mix. Well, it really opened up all of my opportunities. The Young Leaders Board kind of helped me realize, A, what I was getting into, and B, helped me build a network. I started out in the Young Leaders Board, and it was really within, I want to say, like a year. Goodwill had come to me and said, hey, how do you feel about a board position? And this was kind of a wake-up call for me, because now here you are trying to be the big guy who thinks he's walking on water, and I got nervous. I mean, it's not easy to just jump into that. And I guess while I'm on this topic, my vote for you guys too is boards you can get involved in. You don't have to be asked. And while I go through a couple of these different things that I'm involved in, try and take note on how I want to say managed or taught myself how to be ready for something like this, because it really isn't as scary as it sounds. It isn't as threatening. And the other thing is, and I think I was going to get on this later, but I'll tell you now, you need these boards and these organizations, and I'm not even saying boards, I'm saying to be a leader, committees, involvement, anything. Youth is needed. Okay, I know a lot of you, the 15 or so who are graduating, congratulations, and I know the jobs is step one. However, you don't have to go jobs, then involvement, then family. I mean, you can get involved, and it will open up doors and doors of opportunity. And you cannot be scared to be involved. I think one of the things is you have to, I was just telling, I think, John before we sat down today, is you have to be able to take that risk and go to something that maybe doesn't even interest you. I attended something yesterday. It was on Hardside in the Grand Rapids Community Foundation. And I just went to see what they had to say, but it's amazing the network you build as well. And as I go to these functions, and it's just a small gathering, there was probably 30, 40 people there, I start to see the people that I've seen before, okay? And you start to talk business, you start to talk philosophies, you start to talk community. The other thing that you need to take in is you can't just show up at these and expect people to talk to you. One of the things that I shouldn't preach this, but it's great when you can go have 2 beers. And I mean that. You can go have 2 beers, you go have 2 beers, it loosens you up and you talk. I mean, and I mean that. If you have the ability to talk to someone, a 50-year-old will remember a 25-year-old who came up to them just to break the ice, exchange a business card, exchange an email. It goes a long ways. I promise you. And a lot of you may say, well, you're Kurt Lax. People know you. I was Kurt Victor for 2 years. When I graduated, I did not take the name because I did not want people, again, stereotyping me. I wanted to be able to show that I was able to work on my own. I was able to build this image on my own. So yeah, I was Kurt Victor, hence the KV, for 2 years. And I was still able to be that quirky guy who showed up at functions and was able to spark some conversation. So that's my 2 cents. So now I'll get into some of the things I am involved in. The St. Mary's Doran Foundation. I actually, as many of you may know, the family is very close with St. Mary's. My grandfather passed away. That was kind of our family gift to St. Mary's, was to start the Lax Cancer Center. And being a family member and my grandfather being as close as he is, when I had the opportunity, I went to, as many of you may know, Phil McCorkle, and I said, I want involvement. I want to be a part of this organization. I can't give millions. I'm not there yet. I can give you a little bit, but I can't give you millions, but I can give you my time. I can give you my effort, and I will make sure that St. Mary's is successful. So from there, they asked me to be on the Doran Foundation, and what I did is I started what they call the Next Gen Committee, and there's a program that I ended up building which is called Up Next. And again, if any of you are interested, honestly, email me. We do it. It's a yearly thing, and it basically just brings together 10 younger generation people and helps them understand. And this is actually, I want to give kudos to John, because I've done this. I'm going to go through a lot of different youth, generational committees that I started, but that goes back to John's idea of the Young Leaders Board, because that is truly how you start to weave yourself into these organizations. But anyways, so I went to St. Mary's and started the Next Gen, and it's on year 2, and it's a huge success. I mean, it's understanding everything from the Cancer Center to the Hollenstein Center to spending a day with a doc, to understanding the philanthropy part of it. I mean, it's everything. And then at the end, it's basically a decision of, are you interested? If you're interested, step 2, what in this organization interests you? And we'll take you in. We've invested in you for a year. Go run with it. So again, just an example of things to get involved in. Another quick thing on leadership. As I mentioned earlier, going down different avenues, going down different roads. When I graduated, I ended up coaching lacrosse, which is one of my favorite sports in the world. And so for 3 years, the past 3 years, I actually coached 3 state championships. So that was wonderful. But again, to be a leader, you can't stick to one thing, because, again, I think coaching is another aspect of leadership. To be able to coach someone, to be able to coach a high schooler and be a leader to them has helped me build as a leader as well. So I also got involved, and again, I'll give a sales pitch here, with Special Olympics. I coach Special Olympics, not in the summer because it's golf season, but same idea. I mean, it's just the little things, and you meet amazing people. You open, again, I'm trying to preach a little bit on opening opportunities and also how to be a leader, because it has opened a lot of opportunities in different areas. Again, when you walk the streets, there's Coach Lax. Oh, there's my coach from Special Olympics. It's not, there's the Lax kid. There's the Lax kid. It's being able to round yourself. Another thing that I did just recently get involved in was the Conductive Learning Center. And again, a lot of you may not have any idea what that is. And that's kind of, again, what I preached earlier is a lot of these boards, a lot of these organizations are looking for youth. They want to be able to market themselves. They want to be able to get that new blood, those new people involved, because frankly, a lot of board members, employees, executive groups are aging and saying, I don't want to be involved anymore. And they're looking for fresh ideas. So I joined the Conductive Learning Center, and this was at the point I said, no, I'm done with everything. So that's, again, why you guys got to help me there. But and I just actually started a committee there. And again, email me if you want involvement, because we are doing something, it's more a marketing campaign, and it's going to be, we have a committee where it's just 1 week we have a happy hour. We network, but we also bring in the idea of the Conductive Learning Center. So it's not just, okay, let's go drink and meet some people. It's, okay, let's learn about the Conductive Learning Center. Let's gather a group together, because Grand Rapids, and some of you may be involved in a lot of things. I mean, even Grand Rapids Young Professionals, there's a lot out there. But Grand Rapids, if you can start to build that network, it's amazing how many people you start to know. It's actually scary. But another thing that I highly suggest, and this hits home with the leadership aspect, and that is Leadership Grand Rapids. I don't know if any of you know that program that goes on in Grand Rapids. I had the opportunity, and it truly is an opportunity, I had the opportunity to do that last year. I was the youngest in the class. Again, it's starting to become a norm, but it was I want to say that the solidification, I was able to define leadership at that point. And I put this under community because it helped me understand Grand Rapids more than I thought I did. I was that guy that I'd grown up. I lived in East Grand Rapids my whole life. And when people said, "Do you know Grand Rapids?" Yeah, of course I do. We got Van Andel. There was a lot more to it. The only reason I'm touching on this is because if you want to be involved in the community, you need to understand it. Because I thought I understood the community and I didn't. There's a lot of hidden gems. There's a lot of issues. I mean, every community has an issue. You need to understand everything. And Leadership Grand Rapids, to me, helped me learn all of that. Not only that, it built a network that, kind of a foundation. I mean, I sit here and brag about it so much because I love it. There are some people that may not like it. But if you're one that really wants to become a leader, it's a wonderful opportunity. I highly suggest it. It's through the chamber. And that's where I really began my presence in the community. Now, as I'm going to functions, as I'm going to events, again, that group of people knows who I am. They know that I'm not saying I'm a leader because I'm a lax. I'm a leader because I worked for it. And I truly believe that I have worked for it. A couple years ago, I wouldn't call myself a leader whatsoever. Trust me. So why am I doing this? Well, you guys are you're in Hohensteiner now. So again, Grand Rapids is so fortunate to have had people like Ralph Hohenstein, to have the DeVosses, to have the Van Andels. We, meaning our generation, needs to run with this. At one point, we won't have the Ralphs and the Van Andels and the DeVosses anymore. We need to take what they've given us and we need to build with them. And that's another reason that a lot of the things I do is because I'm staying in Grand Rapids. I'm not going anywhere. This community means the world to me. And again, hence the reason I went through Leadership Grand Rapids. But we can't rely on the things that have been given to us. Our society, our community, our society, and our state really need us. We need blood, young blood. We need new ideas. We need new involvement. And I keep hitting home on involvement because, again, to be a leader, you need to be involved. And I know the hardest part is that next step to get there, to go somewhere. Even yesterday's function, it was after work. It was 5 o'clock. The Wings were playing at 6:30. I didn't really want to go after work. I didn't have that fire and that passion that I had when I booked it on my calendar. So I ended up dragging myself there, and after the fact, I was very happy. I mean, you look back and say, okay, that was great. I saw some people that I haven't seen in a couple weeks. I got some talking in. I got some business talk in. And so I highly recommend just pulling yourself and dragging yourself to these different functions. And again, when I keep saying different functions and events, and if you guys ever have, talk about mentor, I'm more than happy to be a mentor. And for you guys to email me at any time and say, what is it? I want to do this. I'm interested in this. I can help as much as I can. The other thing is that I'll give you is don't always do everything you're interested in. I think it's very key to try something new, try something different, because there is a lot out there that you may not have ever thought of that you love, and there's a lot that you will learn from something you absolutely hate. So I suggest doing things that interest you and also maybe have an impact on the community that you don't really know much about. Let's see here. So I guess to wrap up a couple things, we are the future. As much as scary as that sounds, we are the future. We need new ideas. We need our generation to step up. And again, that goes through leadership. It's tough as a 26-year-old, even in an organization, for, again, people who've been there for 25 years. And it's tough to step on their foot and tell them something that they don't believe in or they want to hear. So you have to be able to take that step. A couple quick things on how my journey as a leader has been and what I've taken into consideration. Be humble. Don't brag. People will notice you. People will follow you. When people start following you, you're a leader. I mean, people follow leaders. Be honest, confident, set goals, be humorous, take risks, don't be shy, and do the unthinkable. There's just too many different things that people can learn from. So you need to take all those different things into consideration, And as I kind of preached earlier on my grandfather, choose somebody to emulate. It helped me. I'm not saying that every leader has to have one leader that they're emulating, but try and emulate someone, and you'll find out maybe that person isn't the one to emulate. There could be 4 different people you want to emulate. I look at Ralph now, and I didn't know Ralph growing up as much, and I sit here now and say, Ralph is a leader to me. John's a leader to me. There's more leaders now that I'm taking bits and pieces from. I was telling John I burned his brain out earlier today. So, and last, I'm going to repeat it again, get involved, and more enough, if people know my personality, have fun, because I have an absolute blast doing this stuff, and that may be my problem when it comes to saying no. Have fun. I mean, things that you think are work, and well, I work from 8 to 5. I don't want to do them. Have fun. Let loose and get involved. And I hope that helps everyone. I just wanted to, we're all the same age here. Some of you may be older than me. I don't know, but it's something that if I had someone earlier on tell me, and I didn't have to push myself, to tell me this is fun, go do it. If I didn't have Mary Beth sending me an invitation, hey, you get your butt here, I wouldn't maybe have done it. So just do it. All right, have fun. And again, thank you guys for everything. I would love emails, and I guess I got questions. I don't know if I have time for questions. I'll take a couple questions if people. You gonna pick on me?
Yeah. How do you view politics?
How do I view politics? That's a very good question. I'll give you guys a quick insight on me. And I know Mr. Mike in the back knows this. I have a goal. I think Leaves, I've told this too. I have a goal, and that is to be mayor one day. And you might sit there and say, "Oh, that's a stretch. There's a reach right there." But I've talked to Mike on your way out. It's very, very true. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing, I'm trying to take in. People say, "Well, mayor of what?" Good question. But even something of East Grand Rapids, that's why I had a meeting with Mayor Bartman at that point, was just to, again, I had to take that risk. I went and said, hey, what do I need to do? I mean, I know I can't just put up signs and say vote for me. I want to be a mayor that can make a change, make a difference. Where do I get involved now at 26 years old? Because I'm not planning on being mayor in 5 years, but where do I get involved in and how do I start that now? And that helps me, again, do a lot of the things I do now. Now, business-wise, politics, it's fun for me. Politics is actually, and that's why when I first joined this, I'm like, I'm going to have people hammering me from each angle. But I love politics, absolutely love politics. And a lot of you may not know that because I don't speak politics either that well or all the time. But if you ever have political questions on a business aspect of things, I'm here for you because I can rant and rave all day long. And some of you might not like to hear it, but that's my feeling on politics. Is that enough for you? Is that good? And please ask questions. I mean, besides this table, but go ahead, please.
What's the toughest decision you've made to date?
To answer this question, I don't want to call it tough, and we talked about this a little bit ago. And the toughest thing for me was to decide. And I don't want to say it was tough because it was easy to decide at the point, but we talked about it as what did I want to do? I have a personality again I want to do a lot. I want to be everywhere. I want to be friends with everyone. And I had a path of and the pressure of being involved in the family company, but for me that was a tough decision, but it wasn't. And what I mean, and we talked about this, my dad at one point said, hey, go do what you want to do. I'm not going to pressure you in anything. Go have fun. Go into whatever industry you want to go into. And for me at that point it was tough because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And this was before college. And it was in college, I actually interviewed for other jobs. I got other job offers. And that tough decision became pretty easy once, and I'm going to toot Lax Enterprises horn, but it was really easy once I established myself at the company. And now it's the easiest decision I've ever made. But that is one of the toughest decisions. The other tough decision is, I keep talking about community involvement and when to get involved. I'm taking the same philosophies with family, company, and community. And I want to have a big family. I want to have a wonderful, loving family. And I know I can't do all of the things I'm doing now and have a family and have a company. So again, maybe this is one of my tips for you guys is get involved early because you're going to have to back away at one point. And a lot of the things I'm doing now is because I'm going to have a family, and I'm not going to be able to do all this and have a day job. So I'm getting involved now, trying to make any differences I can now, and then be able to back away. So again, now backing away and decide what I want to do and how I'm going to lay out my life. So it's been tough, but fun. Selma.
I guess I've got a question about introspection, and because I see some parallels here. I mean, it's easy for a lot of folks here because I think we're all similar in age. My question is, where do you find time to think about and to take in all the perspectives that you're getting either on your boards or from mentors in your company or from John?
Yep.
You're sort of bombarded with information all day long, all the time. Where do you find time? This is something I struggle with.
No, yeah, it's vacation. No, on an honest, I figured that's what Jim would say back there. But on an honest note, that's a wonderful question because time management isn't my forte, and it really isn't. And to be able to take all that in and think about it is, I guess, alone time is key. Again, that's why I say get involved early, because the minute you have a family, I could never do half the stuff I'm doing. But if it's not alone time, if I have any moment to get a John on the phone, to get any of the people I work with on the phone and ask anything, that's where I find my time. That's a great question, because now when I sit back and think, God, when do I have that time? But I think part of it really is the people around you help you with some of this stuff. So what I mean by that is, okay, so I go to work and I got the people around me. If I've got something on my mind and I need to get it done, I will close the door and say, it's work time, but I'll close that door and say, here's what's going on. Here's some of the decisions I want to make. I get on the phone with Jim almost every day because the company means a lot to me, and I can't make any decisions, that hands off. But we get on the phone a lot just to talk about the different things that are going on because I still want to be able to make some decisions. So I know it's not the greatest answer, but I don't find alone time. I run. That's the time when I can think about things. But when it comes to making decisions, I don't think I'm the best at that. And all I would preach to you guys is don't take on too much. And that's why, for me, that's one of the toughest things I have right now is to decide, when can I think about this? When can I make a decision about this? But again, with the right people surrounding me, I run into people every day that I can talk about these things, and it helps my decision much more. And honestly, when I say vacation, for me, get away. I mean, don't overindulge yourself. Get away. I get myself away, and I think, and I do everything. I mean, and I truly mean that because, I brought people so they can vouch for me on this. I will call people from Florida and say, okay, I got this on my mind. This is what's going on. Get away. And don't think about all of it at the same time. I've got Goodwill, I've got St. Mary's, I've got Conductive Learning Center. You can't think about it all at the same time. It has to be, okay, what I usually do is, okay, Goodwill board meeting went on. All your ideas start generating at these board meetings. If you walk away from them, you won't remember them. I know for the Young Leaders Board, that was one of the things I preached is, God, we have these great meetings. We come back a month later, we don't remember what we talked about because we're not sitting down and taking that drive. So for me, even like a board decision, okay, so my ideas come in, I write them on paper right away. Right away, try and find time the next day to think about that, and that'll help. Because right now I have way too much going on, and it's hard for me to, but that's a challenge, and that'll make me stronger, I guess, in the future. So.
You talked about what you've done since graduation. What did you do while you were in school to study and learn and be a leader?
I was fortunate, just to give you a little bit, Indiana University has an interesting way, and again, maybe that's the reason they were top 10, is they helped push me. Actually, the first test I ever took was in accounting, and it was just a half semester class, 1 credit. And it was one of those classes, they said, don't take it till second semester, you got to understand college. And I think it was on a Sunday, because Indiana, for some reason, has tests on Sundays. And I thought, well, this is perfect. Sunday night, I'll wake up Sunday morning, I'll study, and I'll move forward. I failed. I bombed. I got a D+. I called my dad and said, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. And he said, figure it out. And that was when I actually, again, that helped myself, help push. And Indiana pushed me. Now, going back to the comments I made about my grandfather, I think that helped me. that turning point was right before college. I want to say it was my junior year, and that's what my drive was, to go to college. And a lot of the times it's easy to slack off, right? It's easy to find that moment where you're going, okay, I'm way behind. I don't want to try. I mean, everyone has the points where they just don't want to study. They don't want to get the A. They don't want to work hard. I was able, and this sounds touche, but I was able to just say, I'm here for a purpose. I told myself I want to do this for him. I told myself I want to do this for my family. That drives me. And I have fun. I mean, honestly, a lot of people, you got to work hard to play hard. I mean, you really do. And you got to play hard to be able to work hard. And I preach that a lot because, again, it's my personality, so I'm not saying everyone does it, but to be able to let yourself loose, let yourself go, you'll be able to work so much harder that next day or that next week. So my tip, I guess, is to continue to work hard, because in the end, it pays off. Where I am now, I have the ability to not only be on a board, but be involved. I mean, people listen to me. I mean, John, people listen to what I have to say because I did work hard. I did take in everything. I didn't just get, a 3.9, put it on the resume and go, boom, I'm done. I'm a smart person now. So I don't know if that helps you at all, but that's kind of my 2 cents on. Yeah.
Hi, thanks for coming. My name is Sandra. I was just wondering if you have anything to say about failure, if you've experienced any.
I'm very happy you asked me that question. And I'm sure all the Lax boys know, and ladies, my favorite quote is, "You cannot succeed till you fail," and I truly mean that. Take my accounting test, for example. I failed, and that was a wake-up call to me, where I said, okay, I don't want to do this. Well, I failed, and the next time I got an A throughout the next. I had to retake the whole class because there's only 2 tests, and that's all you're graded on. Mike's here. When I was in purchasing, I'll never forget the first week we had a price increase, and I went down to my boss's office, and he says, "All right, well, go take care of it." What? I just graduated. I don't know what I'm doing. So I don't think I failed, but again, you feel the failure of, oh, great. Today when I'm speaking, it's like you get a little nervous, but at the end, you're successful. I mean, you have to learn. Again, I'm learning from so many failures. Even on life lessons. I'm not even talking leadership, and I'm talking life lessons. You will not succeed until you fail. I promise you. And that's why when I tell you guys to take risks, do it. Because what's the worst that can happen? You fail and you walk away. I mean, and then you go to the next one, and you'll be able to say, okay, well, what did I learn from this? What did I do wrong? Did I butt in too early? Did I say the wrong thing? And then you'll succeed from there. And I know that's, again, touche. You can't succeed till you fail, but it is very true. Fail once, and I guarantee you'll succeed. I promise. Mary Beth, did you have something?
I did. What are your long-term goals?
My long-term goals. The fun one is mayor. But really my long-term goal is to continue to grow Lax Enterprises as an organization, as a community ambassador, and again, really make a name in the community. And I say that because I think that we haven't gotten off the radar, but I think there's a lot of great things that happen at Lax that don't get always credited for. And just, again, to continue what success has been there, I think that I, again, am very, 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 very fortunate to be a 4th generation and to be able to, it's pressure because there's a lot of success there, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, so that when I'm there, I can say that I met my goal. And then again, to have just a wonderful family that I have. And the same idea.
Any last questions before we conclude? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, all of you all know what's coming next, and it's a token of appreciation here at the Hallenstein Center when somebody has come and shared their experience and have given us the insights into what has made them who they are and the leaders they are, and also makes them more accessible. When Kurt talks about how vulnerable he's been at various points in his life, whether it was losing his grandfather or the shock that was, or the leadership lessons that he's learned through failure, that's a lesson for all of us, and so I so appreciate you doing that. And as a token of appreciation, we'd like to give you a Hallenstein Center tote bag. And in the tote bag is wonderful material. You have a Ralph's book in
book.
there, and you got a mug.
I'm going to study on you now.
That's right. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much. And by the way, if I don't get emails, I failed. So that means I got to have a more successful speech next time. So I please email me, honestly.
We'll email you. Brian, did you have anything more to say? Mandy, are we about to adjourn?
Just stay tuned. We'll be in touch this summer. We'll have lots of informal, social type gatherings and make as many as you can. Some will be over 2 beers, like KB says, others a couple sodas. So just stay tuned.
You know, and what I want to say, this is our last formal meeting for this academic year. I think on behalf of Brian and the staff, Ralph Hallenstein, all of you who have mentored, all of you who serve in the cabinet, this has been our most successful year to date. Every year we get better and better. We ratchet it up. And sometimes I ask myself, how does this happen? It has been consistent progress all the way through. And you know what? The answer, I'm looking at it. Thank you so much. Have a great year. Oh, Mary wants to say
I'd
something.
like to say something on behalf of the fellows here.
Mary wants to say something.
I want to say something on behalf of the fellows, all of us who have received from the Hallenstein Center the work of Gleaves and Brian, Ralph, and the mentors. Thank you so much for what you've done for us and what you reported to us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we are adjourned.
This program is brought to you by Grand Valley State University.